It's hard for a man in his 20s to figure out where he's going. Hello, and welcome to this new episode of the Outdoors Podcast. Today's topic is men's mental health because it is June at the time of this recording, even though the podcast I recorded a month earlier in May. Yeah, but I'm not going to talk about it in the way you expect, probably. So stick around, check it out, and keep in mind that everything mentioned in this video is purely my opinion. And my opinion is always subject to change. So please let me know what you want to say about this topic in the comments. I don't care where you stand on this, but I do want to hear your opinion. We out here fighting mosquitoes, but that's just part of the game with the Outdoors Podcast. It's hard for a man in his 20s to figure out where he's going. And seeing posts on social media talking about it, and seeing how some people in their early 20s, people who are 24, 23, 22, and have it all figured out. Is that even possible to have your shit figured out that early? Because right now, all the people I know my age, or around the same age, which is like 26, between 26 and 24 years old, they're all struggling hard. Not just with life and money and decision making when it comes to, big decisions in your life. Like, should I move to a different country? Should I do this or that? Should I go somewhere? Should I date this woman? And if I date her, should I date to marry? Am I even ready for a relationship? Should I enjoy the lost years of my 20s that I spent studying and just leaning my head down and working? And should I catch up on some fun? And y'all know what I mean by that. Maybe you don't. Shouldn't assume, It's basically being torn between feelings of I need a companion in my life and I want to fuck around and have fun and make memories and do crazy shit that I will not be able to do when I'm in my 30s. The idea of that stems from, for me at least, seeing a man in his 30s in a nightclub dancing and trying to pick up chicks and shit. That's just not a good look. I don't know if I can explain it rationally and give exact reasons, but it's just not a good look. And it kind of stops there. That it's just not a good look. I don't fuck with it. That's crazy. Like a 34-year-old man going to a nightclub and trying to find a bunch of 25-year-old, 24-year-old girls to hook up with. I don't judge. You can do whatever the fuck you want. I do judge, but I will not get out of my way to do something to hinder whatever you're trying to do. Like, I'll judge you from afar, and your judgment shouldn't bother you because it's gonna be all up here. Anyways, relationships. It's a tricky. It's a really tricky subject for me, at least. I think as men, once you reach like 24 years old to 26, usually 24, I don't know why, but this is, at least with my circle of friends, at 24 years old, they all had some sort of relationship experience that has drastically changed the way they see things and drastically fucked them up, if that's the right way to describe it. In other words, it's one of those relationships that fucking destroy you and leave you unaware of what you want to do, where you want to go, what kind of life you want to lead. Like some relationships, after you leave or get dumped or do some big mistakes that causes the relationship to end. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Once you do that, or your partner does that to you, usually the pain from that is so immense that if you're not in the right environment, it can f you up to the point where you forget how to be a normal human being. What do I mean by that? Forget how to be a human being. I basically mean that you have to rediscover what kind of morning routine you should have. Should I have coffee first and then brush my teeth? Or should I brush my teeth and then have coffee because, will the coffee taste weird? Because of the toothpaste. Should I shower in the morning or shower in the afternoon when I come back home? Or should I do both? Should I brush my teeth now? Or should I wait a little bit? Should I stay in this job or should I leave and do something else? It's not like you don't question those decisions during any given moment in your life. The small and the big ones, such as changing your job. The small ones, such as should I have coffee before brushing my teeth? That's a really specific and weird example. But I know some of you out there, you know what I'm talking about. Because sometimes I feel like, I don't know what I should do, man. Basically, if you had established those things way before, like growing up, like you have a certain routine that you did as a kid and you did when you were in middle school and high school and early college, all of that goes away. You also lose your ability to make decisions firmly, and it might not, that your ability to make firm decisions might go away temporarily. Might come back temporarily. Your ability to make decisions might come back occasionally in some specific situations. However, for the most part, it's gone. What else do I mean by forgetting how to be a human being? Yeah, just small things, like you can't make a decision, you can't decide on it. Like the smallest thing, should I take the bus or the taxi? Should I invest in a mode of transport instead of just taking public transport all the time? Should I do this? Should I visit this friend? Should I call this person? Should I travel to this place on the weekend? Should I... Again, there's a big difference between just asking questions so you can plan later and becoming so unsure that you cannot make the decision and you just end up in bed or making the wrong decision. I'm in a similar situation where I used to have this ability to detect or to make decisions based on vibes. In other words, to give it a little bit more respect, I had a really strong intuition. When it comes to people, when it comes to life, when it comes to random decisions throughout the day, when I wanted to make any decision whatsoever, I would always ask myself, what feels like the right thing to do? And it never failed me. I cannot recount a single moment where that has failed me. Shout out all my intuitive homies and homettes, homies gender neutral. Shout out all of y'all who know what I'm talking about. Like having that really strong intuition. For example, you go, your friend brings a +1 to the hangout, all right? Brings a +1 to the hangout and you did not really plan for that +1 to be there. But you're like, we'll see. And then you hang out with the +1 From the very first moment you shake hands with them, you have an off vibe about them. You have a really weird feeling that this person should not be with you right now. It's fucking up your whole energy. I'm sounding like a astronomy obsessed girl right now, but that's not my point, you know. Genuinely, that was past tense. That was something that I had. I'm afraid that I lost it. Because that intuition didn't come from nowhere. I think that intuition, if I were to guess, because I'm really not sure about this, it came from a lot of learning and stacking up knowledge through life experiences and through good and bad decisions. Decisions where you didn't follow your instinct and you realized if you did, things would have been different, better, probably. Intuition is an interesting thing because that's one of the first things I lost when I got to the point where I forgot how to be a human being. But you know, I miss that. It's like it was the best replacement for overthinking that I had. Whenever I would overthink something, I would be like, hold on, let's tap into my intuition and see. And I would just sit there and let my emotions develop within me and see how I feel. If I have a good feeling about it, let's do it. If I have a bad feeling about it, I'd avoid it. If I have an in-between feeling, that means I don't have enough data to conclude anything. Because intuition, I think, is, at the end of the day, it's an accumulation of data that you have about a situation or a person. And you just basically let your brain tap into that. And it's almost automatic. That's how I view intuition, at least. You might have a different view on it, but I think you don't do this mechanically. You don't like bring up like a folder within your brain called past experiences, and you look at all the videos that are recorded in that, aka your memories, and you see based on your experiences what's the best decision. I think it's more subtle than that. If I were to describe it, it would be that the human brain accumulates experience through many years, and some of those experiences and those things you learn are subtle. They're not big bombastic aha moments. They're just little moments where you realized, I'll keep that in mind. You know? It's sort of how you build your identity as well, is through your accumulation of experiences and how you chose to react to them. And you basically learn from those reactions and learn from the repercussions of those reactions, or those actions. But yeah, so you can see how if you lose your sense of identity and self, you lose your intuition as well. So how can you bring that back? I'm not sure. That's the dilemma I'm in right now. That's why I decided to just randomly hop on a bus and take a trip somewhere 4 hours away. No plan. I just booked a hotel or a room. It's a whole apartment. And I just pulled up solo. No plan, nothing. I have no idea what I'm doing. But I wanted to challenge myself and see this situation that I'm in as an opportunity to rebuild myself in the best way possible. So in other words, if I get used to being comfortable enough with myself to travel alone and like just freeball it and let my instinct guide me, hopefully that if I do that enough times, my brain would adopt that as part of its identity. Because this might not make sense. I should explain more. When you lose your sense of self and you forget how to be a human being again, And again, it's one of those things that if you know, you know. Eventually, once you reach a certain point, once like it passes the 1 year mark, because during that 1 year mark, you're doing all sorts of things to prove something to you, to yourself, or to other people. You just kind of get on this high of like, I'm gonna do this and that and get attached to this person or that person and think that it's like a very emotional phase where you have really high highs and really low lows. And I don't think that's healthy. But it's a necessary phase for anybody to go through, to be kind of delusional, as long as you don't lean too much into your emotional side and start making rash decisions. I've seen people, I know a person that I knew very close, a person that I lived with, who basically lost his fucking mind. After we graduated, we went to the same school, we graduated. That guy, I already revealed that it's a guy. That guy straight up became a different person. And that different person that he became was barely even there. Bro had the most random bouts of awful decisions that just continue and snowball out of control. And the great crescendo of this story, this musical with my friend, or this guy that I know is not a friend anymore, it's that he crashed a car with me in it. This guy, I'm sensing that he was in a similar position where he lost touch with himself so much that he forgot how to be a human being again. That he just kind of never managed to snap out of it. At least, I don't know if he has now. But last time I was with him, the situation was so bad that bro crashed the car with me in it, in the passenger seat. He was driving. And the car got T-boned. It was a rental. It got T-boned, and guess which part of the car was T-boned? The passenger side, of course, where I was sitting. I still remember at that moment, I decided to just kind of step out. I was like, if I stay with this guy any longer, a lot of stuff happened leading up to this point in the same day. I just wanted to reconnect with the guy, but it went in a direction I could have never expected it to, and I don't want to go into details. But yeah, it's just kind of crazy. A lot of broken people in the world. But I'm just kind of grateful that that I didn't break to the point where I can't come back. I had some things that still grounded me to reality. And this is the part of the video where I talk about friends. Oh my God. Every year, since I was 18 years old to now, I'm realizing how important it is to have a supportive safety net, social circle around you. And you've probably seen the data, but men typically do not have that safety net, or that safety net is not a net. It's more like a electrocuted fence. That's crazy. What I mean by that is that male friendships can sometimes be so toxic, and you can never talk about something serious that's been bothering you, and you just kind of bottle that up. Everybody that talks about this sounds like a broken record, because it's hard not to sound like a broken record. But the part that I severely disagree with is how it should be handled. How should you handle that? I think as a man, any man would benefit, and I don't have it all figured out. I obviously do not have it all figured out. Look, I mean, look at my current situation. I'm in a park. It's quiet. It's nighttime. It's beautiful. I'm grateful for this moment. Let's not be negative. But notwithstanding, I've been seeing like camps or training camps or videos on social media that kind of promote this idea that men should cry to each other, and on top of all that, put it all on camera. And oftentimes, I've seen a video like this just today of like this new club, whatever, association that it was something like crying boys are hot or some shit like that. And everybody in the comments is like, it's just girls? Of course, it's all girls. And women. I mean, women, not girls, not kids, like women. And they're like, oh my God, this is so hot. This is so good. This is amazing. Keep doing this. Blah, blah, blah. I think women see that and relate to it. And they also see the problems men have to deal with. And they're like, oh my God, that's so good. Some positive change in the world, finally. Because a lot of men hurt a lot of women. Right? But I don't think women... I'm not a red pillar, I swear. I'm not one of those guys. I'm all about, your body, your choice. I'm all about that. But this is just a heart-to-heart. A heart-to-lens, I should say. I don't think women have the answer. I don't think women have the answer to depression and male loneliness. I don't think they do. I don't think they understand it. There are some women out there that do, but I'm struggling to find examples of women that understand the male brain. And then you have on the other side, you have women that are like, well, if it's not all men, explain this. You know, the thing about not all men. You know what that means. I think you know. Don't want to say the word. But it rhymes with ape. Not all men. There's a group of people that are like, well, actually, if it's not all men, and they pull out a statistic, 90% of men went apeshit. I'm not trying to joke about it. I think it's very serious. I think that's a horrible thing for anybody to go through, men or women. I don't care who inflicts that. Inflicts. I don't care who inflicts that upon you. That is a horrible situation. It should not be laughed about unless you're comfortable with it and you want to laugh about it. So I don't think the ultra-feminists that blame all men are correct. And I don't think the women that support something that looks familiar to them, support movements that try to get men to talk about their feelings the same way women do. I don't agree with that either. And you can disagree, of course, like, it's just my opinion. Everything I say here is my opinion. So I'm not really trying to make generalizations because I change my mind about things all the time. And I think that's healthy. It's just like, I think the approach should be different. I think the people that have the answer are men who have went through it and managed to break it. Managed to break that wall that kept them from opening up to their friends and stuff. I know that all-cause mortality rate in men increases drastically after divorce, and their happiness indicators tend to plummet. Whereas it can be quite the opposite for women. But we can definitely say that men have a hard time dealing with a relationship ending. Oh, boohoo men, right? We live in a patriarchy. I hate that argument because the patriarchy doesn't benefit me in any way. In any way. The only benefit, I would say, to the patriarchy, I'm gonna rephrase that. The only benefit I see to being a man is feeling like I can defend myself and having, you know, decent physical strength. But that's about it. Everything else is the same. And of course, this depends on the country you're in. As a woman, I feel like a random woman that lives in a quote unquote safe country in the West, that where women feel safe and are protected by laws. And I think a person like that, basically, there's no difference between you and a man. You're protected, you're safe. If you go out at night, you're safe. So unless you live in a country that puts you at significant risk and has some serious social stigma behind any decision you make that is completely harmless, like choosing a certain type of job or studying a specific field or doing something out and about in public. When I say something, I'm talking within the realm of reason, something that is legal, something that a man can do comfortably in public. So I don't really like the argument of men shouldn't complain because they live in a patriarchy. The patriarchy does not benefit me. The only people that benefit from the patriarchy are the patriarchs, are the people that hold power, or the people that happen to be in positions of power because they were born into it, or they got to inherit their daddy's money. What do I benefit from the patriarchy? Nothing. I work so hard. I work so hard just to survive. And I have a lot of benefits that other people don't. A lot of benefits that other people don't. At least I managed to get an education in a country where education is becoming kind of a rarity among the youth. A lot of people I see, like whenever I overhear barbershop conversations, all they talk about is like, fuck school, they quit school and they start dreaming of living in another country and just kind of abandon education altogether. Do I think education is not necessary if you want to be successful, but it certainly does make a difference. It at least guarantees, if you're smart about it, it guarantees you to be in a position where you can negotiate a higher salary compared to somebody who has zero education. And there are more job opportunities that arise. That's what I see as positive in education. And of course, again, depending on the type of education, it cultivates your knowledge and the way you think. It cultivates your, what's the word? Makes you more intellectual, again, depending on the field. You know, it gives you knowledge. That's it. Going back to the topic of masculinity in men. I remember one time I reconnected with some friends, some very close friends, but life has separated us, you know. Everybody's in a different country doing different things, and we don't always have time to talk. I don't have time to talk all the time. I barely do. Like, I have to schedule calls with friends now because my time is just so tight. And after talking to these friends, each one of them opened up about a life or death situation they've been in within the last 3 or 4 months, and they said nothing about nothing to their friends that grew up with them, to their friends that were there for them at their toughest, to their friends who they know they can trust. For a fact, they know they can trust, but they said nothing. It's a weird thing because as men, we don't even think about calling a friend to vent. At least in my circle. We might be some really toxic motherfuckers in my circle, but we just kind of don't open up and are not straightforward with how we actually feel, because what the fuck do you mean feel? You should be working. You got soft hands. You got soft hands. You've never worked a day in your life. That's the kind of answer we give each other whenever we talk about feelings, or I just broke up with this girl and I'm feeling very sad. Just the homie is just being a dickhead to you. But you know deep down, whenever, for example, whenever a friend of mine does this, like make fun of me if I'm trying to open up, I don't take offense. I don't think, if you know the person, you know their intentions, you know they're a good guy, you know they're going to be there for you if you truly need it. You shouldn't take offense, and you should understand that if you didn't work on yourself and try to be more honest with yourself about the fact that you probably need to be more open with your friends, or you might off yourself alone. Where was I going with this? If you didn't do these steps that I just mentioned, it's very normal for you to kind of close off and not accept anybody talking about their emotions, because it's such an alien thing. So men, I think the best way to go about this situation, because we live in an extremely stressful world where life is immensely difficult for everybody nowadays. Everybody that's born into a normal, non-rich family, middle class, whatever. I think it's important to break that barrier with your friends, because I remember these same friends I talked with, and they all told me some crazy experiences about, oh, I almost died and I went to this hospital and they had to take me to urgent care and operate and do all these things, and you sit there in shock. That was my moment of realization that, holy shit, I never want to be in a situation where a friend of mine dies or takes their own life, or some crazy shit like that, something dramatically bad happened to them. I don't want to be in a position where I could have done something, but I didn't do anything. And that's the thing, how would you know? How would you know? Men are so good at hiding whatever they go through. How would you even know? So that's when I got the idea that, at least with my group of friends, you know, as they say, be the change you want to be in the world. Be the change you want in the world. Be the change you want in the world. That's it. I tried to apply that principle and just kind of talk to my friends and tell them, let's make a pact. Whenever it gets bad for any of us, let's hop on a call and just talk it out. We can either talk about the topic itself, whatever's bothering you, or we can just talk shit. You know, talk about the latest MMA fight, talk about the latest match, talk about whatever show we've been watching, talk about whatever, talk about work. It's just important to do that, to kind of make sure the other person knows that they can talk to you. And when they do talk to you, you should not kind of betray that trust. In other words, you shouldn't shit all over the things they just told you or use it against them, because that's a big thing. I think every man, especially as teenagers, we say something, we open up about something, or something gets exposed about us, and the friend group uses that to bully you endlessly. That's all right, you know. That's all right. You know, you got to toughen up a little bit. Because your boss at work will not give a fuck about how you feel. They care about performance. But yeah, I think that's an important thing to do, is to just kind of open the door for your friends and tell them that, hey, listen, bro, hit me up. If you're going through some shit, hit me up. You want to talk about it? Hit me up. You want to talk about some shit, something that is unrelated? Same thing, hit me up. I think just being available for your friends makes a world of a difference. Makes all the difference. You could literally save someone's life by doing this. Someone who is suffering in silence right now and you don't even know it. That's the thing, bruh. That was another thing I wanted to do to kind of rebuild myself into a better human after I forgot how to be human. Picked up a lot of bad habits along the way. Speaking of bad habits, slide up a dart. Don't smoke. All things considered, life is good, you know. It's all up here. I know it's all up here. Low-key, everybody knows it's all up there. That's the reason why they're unhappy. But when you grow up your entire life just not having anybody tell you that it's okay to have emotions, and let's sit down and talk about them, and talk about where those emotions come from and what happened. Once you get to what happened, things start to clear out. Once you kind of like rationalize your emotions into like, oh shit, actually this is completely normal for me to feel. Like, given the situation I'm in, this is completely normal to feel fucking depressed or sad or anxious or unsure. I wish that was more common with families. It might be. Again, I'm talking from personal experience and the people around me. So that's all I have. And I'm just going to talk about that. I've been really anxious about time passing. I've been really anxious about that. Getting older. If you listen to the earlier part where I mentioned the 34-year-old guy goes to a club to pick up chicks, I don't want to be that guy. And that idea scares me. But at the same time, I'm not sure if it's a good idea to settle down and marry. Kind of in between. And I haven't even mentioned career. Oh my God. That part is terrifying. What should you do with your life? What job should you have? Unfortunately, I was not one of those kids that was like really good at one thing. I was never really good at one thing. I was the kind of person who does a lot of things all at the same time. So I never really took my time with just one thing to master it, so that it gives me like a clear purpose and a clear path to walk. I'm always unsure of what the next step is. Right now, I'm stable enough to kind of just sit back and relax and be able to travel alone and shit. But the repercussions of my current situation are immense. Oh my God. We have a saying here. We say, ما تجيش غير في الصحة, which translates roughly to, as long as it doesn't affect your health, as long as your health doesn't get negatively affected. That's what the implied meaning. Whatever I'm doing right now is very negatively affecting my physical health, and it has. So I know it's not a good idea to stay where I'm at, purely based on the effect it has on me. Sure, having money is nice. Having money after you've never had money in your life is really nice. But I've been telling myself that maybe it's time to live a little bit and spend some of that money and start doing stuff that will help you. Because I'm so obsessed with the idea of saving up money so that I can be ready for the next step in my life. But just saving and saving and saving and saving. Just endless zeros being added to your bank account. So endless growth, in a way, the endless growth of your savings account. It sounds a lot like cancer. It sounds a lot like a cell that refuses to die and wants to spread and get bigger. I'm not saying that saving money is literally cancer. No, that's dumb. You should save, definitely. At least save enough money so that you know in the case of an emergency, you're good. If you go to a hospital or something, or a clinic, and you have like exorbitant fees, or you really need to buy something, you can. That in itself is good. That's why you should save. But at the same time, getting back to not knowing how to human, when should I stop saving and start living? I don't have the answer to that. I have not struck that balance yet, or I think I didn't. But I mean, right now I'm in a different city. I was not afraid to spend money to travel, so maybe that's progress. But yeah, I think a big reason why men cannot overcome this phase and really struggle through this phase in that, like, their mid to late 20s, where shit has happened and it's affecting them, it's that oftentimes whatever affected that person is not completely that person is not completely innocent in that story. Far from it. Being a man in your 20s can push you to do some truly evil shit. When you think about it, people do some, like, you probably have friends who have done some truly evil shit, and you just laugh about it. But if that happened to you, you'd be miserable. If they did that to you, you'd be fucked up. I think that's part of life. You will inevitably hurt people. But that doesn't take away accountability. And that doesn't take away feelings of guilt. I really need to piss.